Thank you so much for watching and staying with me throughout this lecture. I hope this video has helped you build a clear understanding of the GIS. If you found this session helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on GIS and geospatial technologies. A Geographic Information System, or GIS, is a computer-based system used to capture, store, edit, analyze, manipulate, and display data related to locations on the Earth's surface. GIS allows multiple layers of information such as roads, buildings, rivers, vegetation, and land parcels to be visualized together on a single map. This helps users analyze spatial patterns and relationships more effectively. GIS consists of 5 core components: hardware, software, data, people, and methods, and each plays an essential role in the functioning of a geographic information system. Hardware includes computers, servers, GPS devices, scanners, drones, and other equipment used to collect, store, and process spatial data. Software refers to GIS applications such as QGIS, ArcGIS, or other mapping tools that allow users to analyze and visualize geographic information. Data is the most important component and includes both spatial data, which shows location, and attribute data, which describes characteristics of features. People include GIS analysts, planners, surveyors, and decision-makers who operate the system and interpret results. Finally, methods refer to the procedures and workflows used to collect, analyze, and manage geographic data effectively. All these components work together in an integrated manner to collect, manage, analyze, and present geographic information efficiently for better planning and decision-making. Spatial data represents the geographic location and shape of features on the Earth's surface. It tells us where something is located. This data is stored using coordinates in a coordinate system, usually in the form of points, lines, or polygons. For example, a well location can be represented as a point, a road as a line, and a land parcel as a polygon. Spatial data also helps measure distance, area, perimeter, and direction. Non-spatial data, also called attribute data, describes the characteristics or properties of those spatial features. It tells us what the feature is. For example, a land parcel may have attributes such as owner name, land use type, area, and land value. These attributes can be qualitative, such as land category, or quantitative, such as population or rainfall values. In simple terms, spatial data provides the location and attribute data provides the description. Both types of data are essential in GIS because together they allow users to analyze patterns, relationships, and trends for better decision-making. This slide explains the criteria that define spatial data in GIS. Spatial data is based on a coordinate system, typically the XY coordinate system, which determines the exact geographic location of features on the Earth's surface. Several important criteria describe spatial data. These include shape, which represents the geometric form of a feature, such as point, line, or polygon; area or size, which measures the extent of a feature, such as the size of a land parcel; perimeter, which refers to the boundary length of a polygon feature; distance, which measures the space between 2 geographic features. These criteria help in accurately representing and analyzing geographic features in a GIS environment. By defining location, shape, and measurements, spatial data allows precise mapping and spatial analysis for planning and decision-making. Now let's understand attribute data in GIS. Attribute data refers to the descriptive information about a spatial feature. While spatial data tells us where something is located, attribute data tells us what that feature actually is. Attribute data can include descriptive words or numerical values. For example, if we are mapping land parcels, the attribute data might include the owner's name, land use type,
soil type, or survey number. These attributes can be qualitative, such as land use category like residential, agricultural, or commercial, or quantitative, such as population, area size, elevation, or rainfall values. In simple terms, attribute data adds meaning to the map. Without attribute data, we would only see shapes and locations, but with it, we can analyze patterns, compare values, and make informed decisions. Now let's move on to an important concept in GIS, the data model. A data model is basically the framework or structure that tells us how real-world objects are represented inside a GIS system. In simple words, it explains how we convert real-world features like roads, rivers, buildings, or land parcels into digital form. In GIS, every real-world feature is called an entity. When we bring that entity into the digital environment, it is represented using two main components, geometry and attributes. The geometry defines the shape and location of the feature, whether it is a point, line, or polygon. The attributes describe the characteristics of that feature, like name, type, area, or population. So a data model provides the rules and structure for organizing spatial data logically and systematically. It ensures that real-world information is accurately stored, managed, and analyzed within the GIS system. In short, the data model acts as the bridge between the real world and its digital representation in GIS. Now let's understand spatial data models in GIS. A spatial data model defines how geographic features are stored and represented inside a GIS system. It is basically the method used to digitally represent real-world locations and shapes. There are two main types of spatial data models, raster data model and vector data model. The raster data model represents the world as a grid of cells or pixels. Each cell contains a value that represents information, such as elevation, temperature, or land cover. Raster is mainly used for continuous data, like satellite images or elevation models. The vector data model, on the other hand, represents features using points, lines, and polygons. It is best suited for discrete features, such as buildings, roads, rivers, and land parcels. In simple terms, raster works like a digital photograph made of pixels, while vector works like drawing shapes and boundaries on a map. Both models are important in GIS, and the choice depends on the type of data and analysis required. Now, let's understand the raster data model in GIS. The raster data model represents the Earth's surface as a grid of small, equally sized cells, also called pixels. Each pixel contains a value that represents a specific type of information, such as elevation, temperature, rainfall, or land cover. You can think of raster data like a digital photograph. When you zoom in on a photo, you start seeing tiny square pixels, and that's exactly how raster data works in GIS. Raster is especially useful for continuous data, where values change gradually across space. For example, satellite images, aerial photographs, elevation models, temperature or rainfall maps. In raster data, each cell has only one value, and the size of the cell determines the level of detail. Smaller cells mean higher resolution and more detail, while larger cells mean lower resolution. In simple terms, raster is best for representing continuous surfaces and image-based data in GIS. Let's understand the vector data model in GIS. The vector data model represents geographic features using points, lines, and polygons. Unlike raster, which uses grids, vector data uses precise coordinates to define the exact location and shape of features. There are three main types of vector features. Point represents a single location, such as a well, school, or bus stop. Line represents linear features like roads, rivers, or pipelines. Polygon represents areas with defined boundaries, such as land parcels, lakes, or administrative boundaries. Vector data is best suited for discrete features, meaning features that have clear and well-defined boundaries. One major advantage of vector data is that it provides high accuracy for mapping boundaries and requires less storage space compared to raster data for certain types of information. In simple terms, vector data is like drawing shapes on a map using coordinates, making it ideal for mapping infrastructure, property boundaries, and urban planning features.
Let's understand the non-spatial or object-oriented data model in GIS. Non-spatial data refers to information that does not contain location coordinates. Instead, it describes the characteristics or attributes of spatial features. For example, while a map may show the location of a school, the non-spatial data would include its name, number of students, type of management, or year of establishment. This type of data is usually stored in tables, similar to spreadsheets or databases. Each row represents a feature, and each column represents a specific attribute. When we talk about the object-oriented data model, it treats geographic features as complete objects. Each object contains its spatial information, location and shape, and its attribute information, descriptive data, along with possible behaviors or rules. This model is more advanced and flexible because it allows complex relationships between objects, making it useful in modern GIS applications such as urban planning, 3D modeling, and infrastructure management. In simple terms, non-spatial data describes what a feature is, while the object-oriented model combines both where it is and what it is into one structured system.
Let's understand GIS in the cloud. GIS in the cloud refers to using cloud computing platforms to store, manage, analyze, and share geographic data over the internet instead of on a local computer or server. Traditionally, GIS software and data were installed and stored on individual systems, but with Cloud GIS, everything, including maps, databases, and analysis tools, is hosted on remote servers. Users can access them anytime and from anywhere using a web browser. Cloud GIS offers several advantages: accessibility, access your data from any device with internet; scalability, easily handle large datasets like satellite imagery; collaboration, multiple users can work on the same project simultaneously; cost efficiency, reduces the need for expensive hardware and maintenance. Examples include web-based mapping platforms and online spatial analysis tools used in disaster management, urban planning, environmental monitoring, and smart city projects. In simple terms, GIS in the cloud makes geospatial technology more powerful, flexible, and collaborative by moving it to the internet.
Now let's talk about GIS software. GIS software is the core tool that allows us to store, manage, analyze, visualize, and interpret geographic data. Without GIS software, spatial data cannot be processed or converted into meaningful maps and insights.
Now, let's understand open source software. Open source software is software whose source code is freely available to the public. This means anyone can use, modify, improve, and distribute the software without paying licensing fees. In the context of GIS, open source GIS provides powerful tools for mapping, spatial analysis, and data management completely free of cost. Some key features of open source software include free to use, no license cost; customizable, users can modify the code according to their needs; community-driven, developed and improved by a global community of developers; and transparent. The code is open for review, ensuring reliability and security. Examples of open source GIS software include QGIS, GrassGIS, GeoServer, etc. Open source GIS is widely used in government departments, research institutions, startups, and educational organizations because it reduces cost while maintaining high functionality. In simple terms, open source software promotes collaboration, innovation, and accessibility in geospatial technology.
Let's understand proprietary software. Proprietary software is software that is owned by a company or organization, and its source code is not publicly available.
To use it, users must purchase a license or subscription, and they cannot modify the core system freely. In the GIS field, proprietary software is widely used in professional industries because of its advanced tools, technical support, and structured ecosystem. Key features of proprietary software: paid license required, users must purchase or subscribe, closed source code cannot be modified by users, official technical support, dedicated customer service and training, regular updates provided by the company, high integration, often integrates well with enterprise systems. Examples of proprietary GIS software: ArcGIS, Esri, Erdas Imagine, MapInfo Professional. Proprietary GIS software is commonly used in government departments, large organizations, defense sectors, and corporate projects where reliability, official support, and enterprise-level performance are important. In simple words, proprietary software offers professional-grade tools with official backing, but at a financial cost.
Thank you so much for watching and staying with me throughout this lecture. I hope this video has helped you build a clear understanding of the GIS. If you found this session helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on GIS and geospatial technologies.